Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and I've got a couple of Harbor Freight hidden gems. Actually, they're not really hidden and they certainly aren't gems. They're just inexpensive peace of mind. And I've got these to go in my kits. I'm trying them out. I don't know if I'll ever even open these. And what they are is a valve core, or a valve stem core tool and valve stems, and also an inflation kit. And where these live is unopened in my inflation kits. Now I've got several of these. I've got a larger Milwaukee one in a Craftsman tool bag. This one just floats, usually not in anything. I've got my Vi-Air in another bag. And I often build out a kit. Like this. This is one, I started with the ARB accessory kit and added a few more things. The valve core tools, some caps, some extensions, but I only have one of these set up, and then I've got these other tools kind of tossed in my tool bag, probably, depending on the vehicle. But this can come in handy, especially for Schrader valves. Schrader valves actually are making a comeback, believe it or not, even in bicycles. So this is a tubeless Schrader valve designed, you might ream out your rim, your mountain bike rim, or any rim that can handle something this wide, and then you can drop a Schrader in. Schraders are actually an excellent designed valve, better than the Presta, and in fact I often keep these on my Presta valves, which is just simply an adapter that allows me to use a Schrader pump instead of a Presta. And this one's got a little, you can see, little cap that's got sort of a working valve stem or valve core remover. But anyway, these this Maddox 4-way stem core tool. So what we've got is we have the ability to, well, if you look at this, we can removes valve core. Okay, so that's this guy up at the top. Retaps inside, that's this guy. Retaps outside, or rethreads, that's that guy. And then you can ream the valve if you need to here, and you've got 4 of the cores. So this is a simple thing. The part number MTR51, I actually typed that into the Harbor Freight website just to see, and it didn't show up. I had to go in looking for the valve core tool. There turns out there's a bunch of different Harbor Freight odds and ends. And I did a video on a Maddox tire repair kit, which I think is good, especially for the price compared, say, to the, like the ARBs or something. But anyway, this thing is $2.49 maximum Harbor Freight price. Little peace of mind there. This Pittsburgh inflation kit is about $3.49 maximum price. This would be a good thing to pick up when they're like offering you, 20-30% off on something under $10 or whatever, and you don't know what to get. But what this does is it's more takes the average inflation potential of usually air hoses, not necessarily Schrader valve designed ones. And a lot of people have these both around the house or shop, but also on some vehicles. I've run into these, and that's because they're used actually for mechanics tools. But anyway, what do we have on this thing? If you look, we've got a brass tapered inflation nozzle there. Those always come in handy because you're inflating almost anything that it fits in within this diameter. A couple of ball needles. This is a rubber blowgun tip, very similar to this guy. Those can be quite handy. This is a needle adapter. Here, I've got one out from another kit, as you can see here. And then, this is kind of interesting. If you don't know what these are, this is the tire inflation tip. And all this is a press-on Schrader valve inflator. So you've got this little part that sticks up that actually activates the valve. So when you push this on, it's actually pushing that valve stem, and then it's got a little, kind of a gasket O-ring around it. So the air can come out of this thing, and then you can push it on and inflate it. And it's a lot of times used in gas stations. They have things like this, and that's so nobody drives away with a better inflator, and because you can't attach it to the tire. So that's what that thing is, if you didn't know. Anyway, so it's in there. Now, this is compared to a slime kit. You know how Harbor Freight compares stuff, And I dug around because I knew I had a slime kit. I don't think it's this one, but this is a slime kit that I have that I've carried around Anyway, a couple of interesting pieces in here, but certainly not enough to do much. So that's why this one caught my eye. Again, fairly inexpensive. Maybe cut the top and the edge off and just leave it in the case there. Or throw all of this into another little box. But the reason I'm pointing these out is because they're affordable. It's already pre-packaged, and if you've got multiple inflators, like in multiple cars, or you just want to keep these in the car, it's a great idea. You can go and buy individual tools, etc., but this is just like a one-stop, because when you need it, you need it. And also, I've been out with others who didn't have certain pieces, or we just, kind of just pressing a hose up against something, trying to get, as much air into something as you can, and then you can only go to a certain pressure because so much is leaking. But anyway, I'm always kind of looking for solutions. I have all kinds of adapters. They're two different designs for, working with air compressors, different ways of attaching things. Here's the one I use to blow out my sprinklers. But I've got all kinds of bits and pieces. Another direction you can also, if you want to toss in, this is a little mountain bike, basically bacon strips and a kind of a combination reamer and installer for punctures. So it's basically to fix a tubeless tire. And this actually does work fairly well, but there are other designs, and it's kind of interesting where things are going, like this. I think this is the Stan's Dart. So it's a one-shot, stick it in, and kind of take care of it. And I've seen ads for some screw-in thing. It doesn't look like it's big enough to me, but the idea of having something like this handy as well. Very small, very simple. And I imagine you could probably, this is, the reamer for a larger, a truck tire. But if you got small tires, I don't know how terribly different they are from mountain bike tires. Let me know. But anyway, what else do you use or keep? But these guys actually, to me, seemed like a no-brainer, because I'm always looking for bits and pieces, because you never know what you're going to run into once you're working with air. But let me know what you use, what you have, and what direction you're going. And with that, Doc out.